Hello, I'm DeDe, and in this 30-minute yoga session, we'll do a collection of poses which call for, as well as help develop, greater flexibility. And here's what you'll need for this. If you're on a hard floor, put down a yoga mat in the same orientation. You'll need a towel, a bath-sized towel works pretty well. You'll need some water for hydration. You won't need your shoes or your socks. You'll need some space around you in your area, your designated area. And then you'll need to allow yourself to do only what feels right, and also allow yourself to take modifications that I offer or come up with your own modification. As long as it feels good and it's safe for you, you can do that. So we're going to begin seated. So I want you to come down any way you like. And we'll sit down. You don't have to sit down on the floor. You can sit down in a chair if you'd rather. You can sit down next to where you're going to be doing your yoga on the couch, whatever. Or you can fold up your towel and sit on that like a little seat. Most people find it easier if their hips are a little bit higher than their knees to sit comfortably and to sit up straight and tall. So I want you to find your comfortable sitting position. Your feet don't have to be as close to you as I have mine. You can have your feet further out. And you can also sit in some other position on the floor that feels better for you rather than this simple sitting pose. So again, find your comfort. Find a seated position. And then allow your body to sit up straight and tall. Allow your shoulders to relax away from your ears and draw your head back so your ears are over your shoulders. And then just find something restful and relaxing to do with your arms. You can have your palms up, you can have your palms down, you can have your hands in your lap, whatever works for you. And then we'll close our eyes. And we'll start to breathe through the nose. And start to just slightly elongate your breathing. So if you normally breathe in for a count of, let's say, 3, then you'll make it a count of 4 now. Your exhales should be of equal duration to your inhales. And let's just focus on that for a moment. Think about, besides elongating your breathing, think about deepening your breath as well. And then if your eyes are closed, you can let them open. And if you're sitting in the simple sitting pose, as I am, then you can change the leg that's in front or the leg that's on top. All right, and then we'll take our arms out to the sides. Inhale. And then exhale, take your hands together in front of your heart center. And then we'll do that a few times. Now you may find, because we've taken a moment or two to do some deep breathing, that there is a pause that needs to happen between your inhales and your exhales. So allow that pause to happen. shoulders. Starting to put some motion together with our breathing. Now we'll do a little rotation. So inhale. And then as you exhale, right hand goes behind you and left arm comes across as your chest turns. And then when you're ready to inhale, reach out and we'll go the other way this time. So if you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting on the couch, you can still be there. Feel any strain in your neck, you don't have to turn your head quite that far. Turn your head only as far as you can without feeling any strain in your neck. Think about turning your chest rather than turning your head so much. 2 more. All right, let's do a side bend now. So inhale, one hand goes on the seat of your chair or on the couch or down on the mat. Exhale. And then we'll switch. You can look up, you can look out toward me, or you can look down. Your hips anchored. Don't let your hips lift up off of your seated surface. All right, and then we'll come back to the center. Now let your arms relax and roll your shoulders up and back and down. And once again. Now, if you're not sitting down on the floor, you can go ahead and join us down here on the floor. If you're sitting on your folded towel, you won't need that for this next part. I'm going to turn sideways. If you're on a mat, you'll want to turn sideways also. So we're going to sit with our feet forward, our legs apart, and our knees bent. And then we'll just gently warm up our wrists a little bit more here with a side-to-side stretch. And then you can have your fists or your fingertips or your palms with your fingers turned out or turned toward you, right underneath your shoulders, maybe slightly behind your shoulders. And then we'll inhale so your feet are wider than your shoulders, and then we'll exhale. The knees will go to one side and we'll turn to that side, turning as far around as you can with your torso. And then as you inhale, come back to the center and we'll go the other way for the exhale. So keep your hands in kind of close to you so you can stay fairly upright with your torso. Now this is taking place at the pace of your inhales and exhales. So try not to rush. Your hand can be on your leg or on the floor. I hope you like this one as much as I do. I really like the way this one feels through my mid-body, my abdomen, my waist. All right, right, now we come back to the center and we're going to come down onto our elbows. So I want you to carefully, carefully come down onto your elbows. Now let's puff the chest out a little bit, and then we'll straighten one leg and then let it bend, and we'll straighten the other leg and let it bend. See if you can bring your leg up a little bit higher. Flex your foot. See if you can push your heel away from your tailbone. Push it away. Are you still puffing your chest out? Try to keep puffing your chest out. Now how about a little bit out at an angle? So a little bit toward me. I'll reach my leg a little bit toward you. One more each side. And then the last one. All right, and then we're turning over onto our side, and we're coming up onto our hands and knees, or your fists and your knees. Now for this, you may want to put the extra padding, your folded towel, underneath your knees. Make sure there's no wrinkles in it. And then, as I said, fists and knees or hands and knees. So let's inhale, lift the tailbone just a little bit, and then exhale, tuck the tailbone under a little bit. And again. Two more. So it's happening through your low back and your pelvis, not so much through your mid back or your upper back. Your upper back stays stationary. One more. All right, and then we tuck one set of toes under. Our spine is back to neutral. And then we flatten the top of the foot out. Let's do the other set of toes. Tuck them under. And then flatten the top of the foot back out, or as flat as you can get it. Now tuck the first set of toes under, and then sit back a little bit. And then come forward and untuck your toes. And then we'll do the other side. Tuck under, sit back a little bit. Make sure you feel an appropriate amount of stretch in your toes. Let's switch. Tuck under, sit back a little bit carefully. Come forward and untuck. And one more. Tuck under, sit back. All right, now we'll tuck both sets of toes under. Inhale. Now you might want to watch the first one. Exhale, drop your elbows close to the floor and then lift them up. So we exhale, you can join me, and then we lift them up. So maybe you feel an appropriate amount of stretch just by dropping your elbows down. Stretch in your toes, but maybe you need to sit back a little bit further. So I just want to really reiterate that you're not trying to overstretch any part of your body. Even your toes can overstretch, so be careful. And then we'll hold. So less stretch, you bring your hips up higher. A little bit more stretch, you bring your hips down a little lower. Shoulders away from ears, let's keep breathing. All right, we'll untuck the toes, and then we'll sit into your version of the child's pose. So is that here? Or is that a little further back here? Or is that quite a bit closer to the ground here? All right, so let's go back to our hands and knees position, or fists and knees, but just be careful because we're going to be putting more weight on our hands now. So maybe fists is not appropriate. Tuck your toes under, make your knees lighter or lift them, and then bring your knees back down. Let's do it again. Lift or just make them lighter, and then bring them back down. And we should inhale as we lift, and then we'll exhale as we lower. Let's do it again. Remember, they're just lighter. They don't have to lift, but lift if you can, and then down. All right, now we step the hands forward, and we sit back. We still have the toes tucked under, and then we come forward. And do that again. Sit back. And then we come forward. Maybe the shoulders go over the wrists this time. Let's do it 2 more times. And then forward. Maybe the shoulders go a little further forward so you can drop into a straight line with your body. 1 more. Now let's move into plank pose. So if you have to move your hands forward or your feet back, go ahead. And then downward facing dog, where we're going to alternate our heels. Oh, that feels nice. Alternating the heels, feeling the calf stretch and the foot limbering. Feel the strength that's taking place in your upper body, shoulders, your arms, your back. All right, let's bring our knees down onto our extra padding again, and we'll come back into your version of child's pose. Tops of the feet resting down. Stay here, breathe. All right, now we take our hands under our shoulders and we press ourselves slowly up, all the way up onto our knees. Make sure you're not lightheaded. Now take your foot that's closest to me and step it forward. Now here we are in a kneeling lunge. Fingertips or fists right down here. Use yoga blocks if you need to. All right, now we inhale, press the hips forward, the knee is over the ankle, and then exhale, back the hips up a little bit and feel the stretch down your leg. Do it again. Inhale, look forward, lift your chest, and then exhale back. Let your chest drop down. 2 more. One more. Make sure you have enough padding under your back knee. That's important for comfort and functionality. All right, now we back up, stepping our foot back. Keep your balance. How did you do? Let's step the other foot forward. If you need your hands on the floor to do that, make sure you do it with your hands on the floor. All right, knee over the ankle. Here we go. We inhale, looking forward, lifting the chest. And then we're back. We exhale. See if you can keep your hands in that one spot. Again. And back. 2 more. Feel what's happening in your hips and your legs. Flexibility is happening. All right, now we come back to that upright position, and then we step both knees underneath us, keeping our balance. We'll step the original foot forward again. Fingertips or fists or yoga blocks. Now we back the hips up, and we hold here. See if you can make your back a little bit straighter. See if your straight leg side can be a little straighter at the knee. See if you can keep lifting your chest. All right, and then we switch. So carefully make your transition any way you need to. Let's come into that low lunge. And then we'll back the hips up and we'll hold here. Breathe. That really helps with flexibility work, and that's what we're doing in this session. Lots of flexibility work. Are you breathing? All right, let's come up and we'll step back. And then once again, we find our child's pose. All right, then we'll help ourselves up. Now we'll take the extra padding a little bit further forward, and that's where our pelvis is going to go. So this part of our pelvis, where all the bony structures are, and then we'll come down, and we'll stack the hands and rest the forehead there. Now, you may want to prop yourself up and look. We're going to do one leg long and straight, and then switch. Okay, now you can come down and join me. One leg long and straight, and it lifts a little bit, and then we switch. So if you don't have enough padding under your pelvis, you can really feel the firmness of the floor, even if you're on carpet. So make sure you get enough padding going underneath your bony parts. 2 more. 1 more. Now rest your legs. Make sure your legs are still relatively narrow, they're not too wide. Now let's take the hands alongside the chest and the shoulders pull back. Now inhale and lift your face and your chest a little bit, and then exhale, come down. So let's use the back of the body more than we're using our arms for this, okay? Keep your legs narrow. You might find it advantageous to inhale as you rise up, and then of course you'll exhale as you come down. So this is one version of Cobra. Now this time, slide your elbows forward so they're underneath your shoulders, and we'll stay here. So this is the Sphinx Pose. Shoulders away from ears, collarbones down, shoulder blades down. Stretch the center of your chest forward and keep breathing. All right, now we come down, we slide the hands back to being next to the chest, and then very carefully press yourself up. You can bring your knees onto your extra padding. We're going to find another child's pose here. Remember to make it not as extreme if that feels better, especially right now, after all those back bends that we just did. Pay attention to what you're creating in your body. Create just the right amount. All right, now we slide our extra padding forward, and we're going to take our elbow and forearm onto that extra padding. So we'll come here with our knees in line with our chest, which is in line with our forehead. So it's a relatively flat shape here with your body. Take your fingertips or your fist or your palm in front of you, and then we're going to make sure that the elbow is in line with the hip and it's directly under the shoulder. Now we lift the hips up, and then we come down. And we do it again. Lift the hips up, and then come down. Now you can keep your hand here for stability. And if you feel like you can't lift your hips up, just make them lighter. Like the option that we had earlier when we were lifting our knees, you didn't have to lift, you just made them lighter. But if you can lift, go ahead and do it. So this is about strength and stability. We're going to make it about flexibility in just a second. One more. All right, and then stop. Come to a seated position. Whatever's comfortable for you. Here is fine, whatever works for you. Now take this hand down and we'll raise this arm up because this is the side of our body that was just working. So let's stretch it now. Keep this hip heavy, your right one, and take your right arm overhead. Your left shoulder is relaxed. All right, and then we're coming up. Now we need our extra padding on the other side. Let's line ourselves up just as we did on the first side. So knees in line with pelvis, in line with chest, in line with forehead. And then your elbow is directly under your shoulder and your elbow's in line with the rest of what you set up. Now here we go. Lift up or just make lighter your hips. If you like the feeling of front to back stability with your hand down, then you can keep your hand down. Otherwise, you can let your arm rest against your body, or you can lift it up. Lots of different options there. Let's do 4 more. Last 2. Now we push ourselves up to a seated position. Remember to find one that works for you, that's comfortable, that you can be in for a moment. And then we go this way to our big side stretch. All right, and then we're coming up. Now we'll come back down onto this elbow for something that's different flexibility-wise. So we'll bend the knees. The knees can be out in front of you. They don't have to be in line with your hips and your forehead. And then we'll bend the top leg, and only if you can comfortably will you grab your ankle. If you can't grab your ankle, that's totally fine. And then we will back the knee up. Even if you're not holding onto your ankle, by the way, you can back your knee up. And keep your knee pointing at the direction of the other end of your mat, if you're on a mat. The other end of your space, if you're not on a mat. And then if you can go a little bit past the line of your body, then you'll start to feel what's called an anterior hip stretch, or stretch for here, and maybe some quadricep stretch too, for the front of your thigh. Shoulders are away from ears no matter what. All right, and then let's release that. And then once again, we're going to change sides with our padding. Knees are bent. Shoulders away from ears. And then if you can, hold on to your ankle, back your knee up. Feel the stretch in the front of your hip and the front of your thigh. So is this happening to your shoulders? Are you collapsing into your shoulders? Try not to do that. All right, let's release that. Drag your extra padding back so your knees can be on it once again. Now watch before you do this. You'll set yourself up in the hands and knees position once you're ready to do it. Then you'll tuck your toes under and push one heel back. All right, so that's a calf stretch. So join me here. Fists and knees or palms and knees. Tuck one set of toes under, straight leg on that side, then gently push your heel back. Gently, because we don't want to overstretch our calves, but feel that powerful stretch in your calf muscles. Try not to tilt your pelvis. Keep your pelvis level to the floor. And then both knees will bend and we'll switch sides. The other leg goes back, tuck your toes under and push. And breathe. All right, and then we'll release. Now we're going to come to our downward facing dog position, but that's just a means to an end. That's just so we can walk our hands back to our feet and we can come to a standing position. So take your hand from the floor, put it on your thigh, the other hand on your other thigh, hold it about halfway up, and then we'll rise slowly all the way up. And then roll your shoulders up and back and down. One more time. All right, so how do you feel now? Hopefully you feel like you limbered, did a little bit of strengthening, and then stretched many parts of your body. So thank you for joining me this time, and until next time, be well.